Allie. Join me as I show you how to do these moth triangle earrings, which can have so many modifications, so make sure you watch to learn all the different ways you can make these. If you need any materials, look below the video in the description. There's a little show more button, hit that, and it'll get you links back to our site. Gather up your materials and let's get started. So to do this fun detailed triangle, you can use really a combination of any colors, any beads. I'm going to show you how to do the triangle form and then to make these kind of fun drop earrings, how we're going to go in and change up the standard triangle a little bit. Our triangle is going to begin with some 8/0 seed beads, and I also have a secondary color of 8/0 and some delicas here. I have about 3 feet of beading thread on a size 8 dragon thread with a size 10 needle. I'm going to drop down to the bottom of my thread after putting these 3 beads on, and I'm simply going to tie a knot. I'm leaving just enough thread there so that way I can go in and tie the end of the thread to it when I am finished and complete the project. After tying my thread in there, I'm going to take my needle and thread through the next 8/0 seed bead, and we're going to work on our herringbone, which is the gold sides that we're working on. To work on the herringbone, we're coming out between 2 of the beads, and we are going to add, just to start to keep a track of it basically, 2 of our pearl color of our 8s, and sew through the next gold 8. I did this really just so you could keep track of color and that color difference as you're going through, but if you want to keep it all gold, you're more than welcome to do so. As you exit the next gold bead, I want you to add 2 more of your cream color and then through the next 8. This is creating a little bit of a herringbone effect where those 8/0 seed beads kind of sit in a Y shape and sit open. 2 more go on, and then we're going to go into the gold, and we're also going to do what's called a step up. So we are stepping up into that first herringbone that we did through bead number 1 and out before bead number 2. Which would be that second white bead there. As you're doing so, you want to make sure as you're going around that the beads kind of sit and cooperate so they're in that Y shape. And we're going to add another row of our herringbone on top. 2 more gold beads, and we're going to go down through bead number 2. So we're coming out bead number 1, we add 2 beads, and we're going down bead number 2. Right on top of the gold bead that's already there, between our herringbone sides, we're going to add 1 of our 11/0 Delica and then go up into the next row of our herringbone beads. When we add the blue beads in the Delicas in between, we're actually going to be doing more of a peyote style of beading. Coming out here, I'm at my first white bead. I add 2 gold beads, 2 new herringbone beads, and sew down bead number 2 toward the gold bead between. Make sure those are sitting correctly. And then we're going to add another Delica and sew into our next grouping of our white beads. Into bead number 1, that Delica bead pops right there between the white beads. Out the top here, we're going to add 1 and 2 more gold beads and down through bead number 2 of the white beads. Make those sit correctly. And then we have 1 more of our blue Delica beads there to add. We're going to add our last or our third of our Delica beads, and then we need to go into the white bead because the white bead creates the ending of our row. At the same time, like we did previously, we are going to step up into the gold bead or bead number 1 that we just added in this row around. Give a nice tight pull on the thread, never the needle, because that'll fray your thread. And we're ready to start our next go round. Our next round is going to be 2 gold beads for our herringbone. We're out bead number 1, we add 2 beads, and we go down through bead number 2. Make sure those sit. Coming out here, we're going to add 2 of our Delicas in that space. Go through the blue Delica that's already there. When you're exiting the blue Delica that's already there, you're going to add 2 more blue Delicas, and then up through the gold bead along the side. Here along the corner, you can see I'm just spinning around in my hand as I work with it. 2 more gold beads go on for the herringbone. You're coming out bead number 1, you go down bead number 2. When you're exiting through bead number 2, you are going to grab 2 more of your Delica beads, sew through the Delica bead that's already there, Add 2 more Delica beads, and then once again up through that corner gold bead to start your herringbone again. Once you're here, 2 more gold beads to finish out your last of your herringbone, down through bead number 2. You can see how quick these are. And again, you can change up the pattern. If you don't want to do 2 Delica beads here, you can do another 8/0 seed bead there. You just need to fill that blank space. 2 more Delicas go on, and then I sew into the Delica that we added on the previous row. 2 more Delicas go on, and we're sewing up into that gold bead that's there first. Because remember, the 2 on the top are the ones that we just added as we were going around. So we're going basically 1 down, which will complete the row we're working on. At the same time, we're going to sew through the row we just completed through bead number 1, creating a step up. Now, when you're looking at the project, everything should be even. You should have a row of your white and then 2 golds the whole way around, the grouping of 2 Delicas around the sides. Here at the top, we're going to do 1 and 2 more of our gold beads and go in to do our next row down through bead number 2. And a nice tight pull there. As you're looking here then and determining kind of what you want to do, we're going to go in and we are going to add some more of our blue beads. The blue beads that we are going to add are going to feed into the herringbone style. We are going to add 1 and 2 more of our beads to catch into the middle. So as I prepare my peyote side now, coming down after doing that first herringbone, I apologize, it's 1 8/0. And then we're sewing through the 2 Delicas that are already there. When we're in the middle, spatially, you just kind of look and see what would fit in between that row there. 1 more Delica. So through the 2 Delicas that you put on in the last row, and then add 1 more 8/0 seed bead and up to the top of the next row of your herringbone. On the side then, we're going to add 1 and 2 more gold beads and down through bead number 2. So again, just spinning around the whole thing as you go around. Add 1 more of your white pearl through the 2 Delicas that are there from the row before. After those 2 Delicas, we're going to add 1 more Delica. Sew through the 2 that are already there. Bring your needle out. 1 more of our 8/0 in the white pearl color, and then up to the corner herringbone. When I'm up into the corner herringbone, 2 more gold beads, down through bead number 2. So you're always doing that herringbone style where you put 2 beads on, let them sit facing open. Come on over here and finish up our last side, 1 8/0, through the 2 blue beads that we just put on in the last row. Add 1 more of our Delica beads to sit in the center through the next 2 beads that we put on in the last row. Add 1 more of our white 8/0s, and then once again, here's where we're finishing up. So we're going to go through the last row that we've completed, and then we're going to step up into the current row that we're finishing. So I go into that first bead and then into that corner unit. Now you can do so many different things again with this design and kind of take it wherever you want to. You can see here in the sample 1, 2, 3, 4 rows of our gold. So you can count 1, 2, 3. Oh, I need to make a 4th row. So we're going to go around 2 gold beads down into bead number 2. Once we're here, we're going to go in and we're going to add some more of our Delica beads. 1 and 2 Delica beads fill that space before our 8/0 seed bead in the white. Then I look and I see, okay, what fills this space? Again, 2 more Delica beads and into that center Delica bead that we added in the last row. 2 more Delica beads get added, 1 and 2, and into the white bead along the side. When you're in that white bead along the side, it opens up that room on the last herringbone. 1 and 2 more of your Delicas and up to the corner unit. Now, what's happening is it's starting to get a little bit curved, and we're going to really, really exaggerate that little flower look on the side. Into the top unit, 2 more beads, and we're circling around this whole side here then. 2 beads get added into the white. Coming out the white bead, 2 more delicas get added into that middle delica bead right there, just the middle one. Don't get your thread twisted around your pliers like I'm doing. Move those out of the way. Otherwise, you get beads all over. 2 more beads go on into the white bead. 2 more beads go on into your corner herringbone. Now we get to finish up our herringbone, 1 and 2 gold beads down through bead number 2. And as we go down through bead number 2, then we finish up our last side. 1 and 2 through the white, 1 and 2 through the middle, 1 and 2 through the white, and 1 and 2 through the gold. Now remember, again, you're not going up to the top gold here. You're finishing your row through the gold 3rd row. Once you're there, you're going to step up into the row that you've just completed. Now we're going to go in and we are going to change up what we do in the corner. In the corner, we're going to add a blue and a white bead. And then along the side, we're going to do a little hopping and kind of skipping over some of the beads. 11, 8, 11 of the delicas gets added. I'm going through bead number 2. There, that becomes your corner unit. And here along the side, we're going to add 1 of our delica beads. We're going to sew into the 2 delica beads that are right before the white bead. And we're going to hop over the white bead. So how are we going to do that? We're going to add 1, 2, and 3 of our 11 O delicas. We're going over top of the white bead, and you are going to sew into bead number 2 right after the white beads there. So into bead number 2, straight across to bead number 2 on the other side as well. So I'm going to show you that on the other way, or on the other side as we do it. And that hops and kind of makes that floral design. Over here on this side, we're coming out the 2nd bead before the white bead. We're going to add 1, 2, 3 of our delica beads. We hop over the white bead and we go through the 2 delicas that are already there to get that nice kind of almost moth look. 1 more delica and up into the corner. When I'm in the corner, it's a delica, a white bead, and a delica, and down through the other bead. Here on the side again, gather up some of my delicas here. And coming out the edge, we're going to go 1 delica through the 2 blue beads before the delica. Coming out then prior to our white bead there, 1, 2, and 3 delicas get added. You're skipping over the blue bead right next to the white bead, and you're going to the one closer to the center. So straight on through to the bead that is 2 before the next white bead and out. From here, we're going to dump out a couple more of my delicas. 1 and 2 and 3 delicas get added. Skip over top of the white bead and sew through the 2 blue beads. 1 more bead gets added up into the corner. As we go into the corner there, 11, 8, 11 of the delica, cream delica, through that next bead there. And then once again, 1 bead through the 2 beads that are there. 1, to 3 beads, hop over top of the white bead, hop over top of the blue Delica that's after it, go through the second blue Delica and the first one on the opposite side prior to the white. Skip over that next blue bead, 1 and 2 and 3, and into the grouping of 2 and out. Once you're into that grouping of 2 and out, you are going to add 1 more 11L and go up into the gold bead to finish it off. Now I'm going to go down and around, and you can see kind of that little moth eye look. We're going to hang some Briolettes down. So I'm going to hang some Briolettes in that 3 empty spaces that we've created. To do so, I'm going to go through my corner beads, and I'm going to go out through my first Delica there that's going to sit right along the bottom, that little curvature. Coming out there, I'm adding a Delica, a drop, a Delica, and I'm sewing right over to that group of 3 seed beads and out. Let that hang down there. Here again, Delica, drop, Delica, sew over to the 3 seed beads that sit above the white bead. Now you can use daggers here. You don't have to use the Briolettes. You don't have to put anything here either, but it's kind of fun to play around with the design. You can see I'm just making sure that it kind of fits in that space. I'm going to do 1 more Delica, 1 more Briolette, 1 more Delica, and into that corner bead through the blue bead before the herringbone. Lay it down. Make sure your thread is sitting nice and the way that you want it to. Don't pull too tight. You want it to flow and for them to sit. And now what we're going to do is take our thread and needle through our piece all the way. You can see I'm just going right through the middle. It's going to be my fastest way to get up to the top to add on my wire guard or my wire protector at the top of the design. So I'm just sewing straight up through the herringbone row here, out through the Delica, add our wire guard, through the wire guard, up and around, through and down the opposite side. Once you're there, you're going to go to the opposite side of the white bead, to the Delica, sew through that, and then straight back down towards the middle. Once you're down through the middle, bring your thread and needle out towards the back of the design. Take your 2 thread ends and simply tie them off. Nice and simple. Once they're tied off, because they're right next to one another, you're just going to take a thread burner or a thread zap, burn them down, and stick on your ear wire. The ear wire that I'm using here is kind of a fancy curved one. It's actually open in the back. I'm going to open it up a little bit so I can get to it. See that opening there? I'm going to turn to the side slightly, put that on, close it up, and that finishes up my moth crystal earrings. Thanks so much for joining me in creating these moth crystal earrings. It's really, really fun and almost addicting to do a lot of those triangles, changing up seed bead sizes, changing up designs or crystals that you hang down from. Remember, if you need any supplies, go ahead and look below the video in the video description. Hit that little show more button and it'll get you links back to our website. As always, if you haven't yet, hit that little subscribe button so you don't miss anything from us here at Potomac Beads. Thanks so much for watching and stay tuned for more inspirational designs.